Okay, so if you open the student version of the game file, you'll see that we've got our player, we've got a coin, and we've got the backdrop. Now, if we click the green flag, you can see I can move the player around. The game doesn't really do too much. If I try and touch the coin, it doesn't disappear. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to make the coin disappear when it comes into contact with our player. Now, to do that, if we make sure we've got the coin sprite selected, and if we go over to the control section, and if I drag the when green flag is clicked block onto the stage, this will tell the coin sprite that when the game starts, we're going to do something. Now, if I also choose an if block, I need to say if the coin touches the player or the player touches the coin will disappear. So to do that, I need to detect whether the player and the coin are touching. So I go to the sensing tab, which is the blue one, and I drag the touching block on, and if I just use the drop down arrow, you'll see I can select sprite 11, which is my player sprite. And the next thing I need to do is I need to say if they are touching, then what do we do next? We need to hide the coin. Okay, so if we run that using the green flag, you'll notice that even when I hover over the coin, nothing happens. Now, if I position the player right next to the coin and I also click the green flag, you'll notice that the coin disappears. Now, the reason that happens is because we've said to Scratch, when the green flag is clicked, if you're touching sprite 11, the player, then hide. But during the game, we're not always clicking the green flag, so we need a way of telling Scratch that we need to constantly check if those two sprites are touching. And we can do that by going back to the control block and using the forever block. Now, the forever is a kind of loop, or sometimes we refer to it as iteration when we're talking about computer programming. But what we're asking the computer to do here is constantly check if those sprites are touching. Now, if we hide the coin, we also need to tell it to reappear when we click the green flag, otherwise nothing will happen. So if I just drag show underneath the green flag, and we'll start again. We just might need to move our player out of the way. So you can see the coin appears and then disappears. And if you notice the white line around the blocks, that tells me that that script is constantly running in the background. It's constantly checking to see if the player is touching the coin. When it does, it will spring into action and it will hide the coin. Okay, so the next part of this tutorial, we'll look at how we can keep counts of when we collect a coin. Obviously, when you played the full version of the game, the idea was to collect as many coins as you could in a particular amount of time. Now, in order to store the amount of coins we've collected, we need to create a variable. Now, as explained in the lesson, a variable is simply a value that can change and we can reuse it within our program. So if I click make a variable, and if I just give the variable a name, coins is a fairly sensible name, and if you leave this to for all sprites, because we want the whole game to be able to access this variable, click OK, and you'll see now at the top left hand of my screen I've got this coins counter. Now at the moment it won't do anything because we haven't told Scratch what to do. However, if we go back to our block here, we can say if touching sprite 11, we're going to hide the coin, but we're also going to add 1 to the score because we've collected a coin. So I'm going to use the change coins by 1 in this case, and I can just pop that underneath the hide block, and if I just move my player again, if we run that again, you'll see that when I select the coin, it then adds 1 to the variable. Now that I've created 1 coin, we can now duplicate this sprite. So if I just click duplicate, if we just make sure the green flag's pressed, and duplicate that again, and duplicate it again. Okay, so at the start of the game when the green flag is pressed, you should see those sprites appear. Okay, so I'm just going to keep duplicating until I've got a certain amount of coins, and I'll let you work that out and you can add as many coins as you like. Now if we run the game again, you'll see that a few of those that went missing before have reappeared, and if I collect the coins, you can see that my counter starts moving up and it keeps a record of all of the coins that I've collected. Now when the game finishes, if I stop the game now and start again, you'll notice that the coins variable stays the same. So what we need to do is whenever the game restarts, we need to set that coins variable to 0 so that we can start counting again from 0. Now the best way to do that, if you've got something that lots of sprites in the game need to use, or something that affects the flow of the game, it's best to put that on the stage. So I'm going to double click the stage, and again the control block, and I'm going to say when the green flag is clicked, and we want to affect the behaviour of the variable, so I'm going to go to the variables section, and I'm going to choose set coins to 0. And you'll notice now if I click the green flag, the counter reverts to 0, and we can start collecting coins all over again. Okay, and that really is it. You can duplicate as many of the coins as you like and have lots of coins to collect. And if you've done that and you're happy and you want to extend it further, if you go to the next tutorial video, I will show you how to create a timer to introduce an element of challenge to the game to make it more difficult for the player.